right, here we are back after kind of a long break into the abyss. We're doing our Saturday Night Horror Movie Club. We are at Casa de McDonough, or the McDonough Manor. So we're going to introduce our movie for the night, but first, the guys would like to share their libations with you, what they are drinking this evening.
Sure, Chuck, you want to go first?
All right, so I stopped by Awestruck Cidery. I got my growler here.
That's a lot of cider.
Yes, out in Sydney, New York. I got the big one is blackberry with a hint of lime, and the smaller one is vanilla habanero cider.
Vanilla habanero?
Yes,
It sounds like something that shouldn't work, but yeah, you said it's good.
it's fantastic.
Okay.
Well, I was contemplating going to the Green Laundromat liquor store again, but, I think their selection is limited. So I actually went to C&D Liquor on Upper Front Street, and I got some Evan Williams Spice Cider. It really, it just tastes like cider with a little kick to it, and this is something you could probably drink all night, which is probably not a good thing. And I also got Kraken Attacks New York. Now, I actually had Kraken before. It's dark rum, and before it was actually a little harsh. This one's a lot more mellow. And I'm pretty sure I got it because of the Kraken Attacks New York.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it probably goes well with Coke, or especially on tonight because it's getting chilly, and I think it's coming in. So that's right. Got the candles going, a little incense. Maybe throw a little berry white on later.
Okay. The only thing I'm having tonight is Monster Energy drinks because I am kind of doing abstain for a little while, trying to get back in.
But we are having some of Kevin's chili, so that's
right.
poison enough as it is.
So, Tom, would you like to introduce our movie this evening?
Sure. After scrolling through, we decided to go to Amazon Prime, and we're going to watch Spiral, which is from the Book of Saw. And I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of it, starring Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. And, I'm just a big Sam fan. I can't say that enough. Man needs to have an Oscar just for existing as far as I'm concerned. I am a little concerned that with Chris Rock in this as a serious horror concept, how will he hold out? We'll have to see. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I'm just hoping it's not like how some of the Saws turned into, where it was just, for lack of a better word, torture porn as it started turning up. But we'll have to see.
Yeah.
I think it'll be pretty good.
I heard mixed reviews on it, but I definitely want to see it for myself and form my own opinion.
I have never seen a Saw movie. Never been interested. Then I saw that Chris Rock and Sam Jackson were going to be a Saw movie, and I'm like, sign me up. So, and like Tom was saying, I'm interested in Chris. I'm always interested when an actor does something that's a little out of their wheelhouse. So I'm interested to see how Chris Rock does this.
Do you ever notice how everything is in Samuel Jackson's wheelhouse? Everything?
Yeah, Sam. That's yep. He doesn't really have a wheelhouse. He just does whatever he wants.
That's it.
All right, so we're going to start on Spiral, the Book of Saw, and we'll check back in here about 30 minutes in the movie. Okay, so we're about 30 minutes into Spiral from the Book of Saw. So, guys, what are we thinking so far?
I think that first scene has my tongue tied.
Now, so far, we were actually talking about this. Sorry, guys. This is Henry. He wants his 10 minutes.
Oh, no. Everyone wants Henry.
I know. Henry gets the views.
No one cares about you at this point. Yeah.
No, we were talking earlier about how it's interesting to see Chris Rock in a non-comedic performance. I'm sure he's done some things that are like comedy drama or something like this, but this is different. It's enjoyable. I'm getting a lot of Serpico vibes, and for those of you who don't know, Serpico was a 1970s Al Pacino movie based on a real story of a detective named Serpico who was turned in Dirty Cops, and he got shot for it. So in this case, here he portrays a cop who turned in a dirty cop, and everyone on the force hates him. Well, now they actually got to listen to him as he takes lead on this case. And then we find out Samuel Jackson's his dad.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I got to say, first of all, I've never been a super Chris Rock fan. And I like serious Chris Rock. And so far, it's got that nice blend of, there's little bits of humor here and there, but I like him as the character and things like that. And having Sam Jackson as dad, that's great. So it's a pretty interesting, concept. It looks like the Spiral Killer is going to go after dirty cops. That's what it looks like. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, I've never watched any of the Jigsaw movies before, just because I didn't really have much of an interest in them. But this is turning out pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a difference. I mean, first of all, they mentioned the Jigsaw Killer, so this is not a different universe type of thing, but
Same
obviously
universe,
a copycat.
yes, yep.
And I think I'm looking at a difference here is, well, no, there's one of the Jigsaw movies where everyone who was involved in the crime was involved in the games, but this one, it's definitely different that targeting specifically cops. So, and I need to point out because I was doing a little research on this already. This came out before, well, the movie was made before the Black Lives Matter movement, so there's no political edge to this one.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention police corruption's been around since there have been police, period.
Yeah, so we will come back about halfway through and let you know our thoughts at that point.
Eventually, I'll get a word in.
Oh,
no! I thought I asked
we
you.
thought we were done with your dad joke.
Yeah. No, for me, the humor so far, there's been some good humor. Other parts, you just feel like the movie's trying to kind of make up its mind on what it wants to be. There's some jokes that kind of feel like they're out of place with the more serious tones. I'm kind of curious there, and it's not just Chris Rock. Just there's a few punchlines kind of thrown in here and there, and the movie's kind of getting the feel for what it actually is.
Oh, and also too, we have a tried and true formula where Chris Rock is the grizzled maverick veteran who does thing on his own.
That's a bit tropey.
Yeah, it's a little bit tropey. So of course, to settle him down, the captain, saddles him with a rookie for him to watch over, which is, I mean, that's been going on since Lethal Weapon, or even before that. Yep. So, but that's one of those ones. That's one of those tropes where I never mind a trope like that. That's just going to be part of the landscape in a cop movie. Yep. So yeah. All right, so we'll come back about halfway through. Let you know what we think.
Okay.
We are an hour into Spiral from the Book of Saw. Chuck, what do you think so far?
I think they definitely took their first sharp turn in the plot in the last few minutes here. Been pretty predictable so far in terms of progression, but it definitely threw us, I think, with the last death of the movie.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, definitely that, when I said earlier, shades of the movie Serpico, definitely saw that with his backup refusing to help him out when he got shot by a crook. And right now, it looks like it's going to be focusing a lot on his father, too, so that's pretty interesting. And, I mean, I see a lot of similarities with the Saw movies. Kevin, I know you haven't seen them, but like sometimes with the quick cuts and just little out there cutaways, we'll see. I mean, right now I see a lot more of this as a cop thriller, I think, than horror. Nice. I like that concept.
Yeah. I gotta admit, like Chuck said, not to give anything away, but the most recent death was a little surprising. I'm also waiting for more information because so far all of the cop deaths have been cops that were dirty in some way. This is kind of like, how is this guy dirty? We haven't heard yet, so we'll have to see where we go from there. So, and it definitely is starting to get more Saw-ish in the gore level. So. Yeah. All right, so we'll check back in right before the movie's end.
Okay.
All right, here we are at the end of Spiral from the Book of Saw. Tom, what do you think?
It's, how do I say this? It's an interesting movie to watch. However, it's kind of like after the first couple of Jigsaw movies, they really should have stopped. And this offshoot, even though we had some star power in there, in the end, it was just kind of...
Yeah. They did some interesting things with it. They tried to do something new. It felt like they were trying to juggle 3 genres, and they weren't able to pull it off. So it was trying to be Seven, a thriller. It was trying to be Saw, a horror, body horror film, and it was trying to bring in some comedic elements a bit much. And I don't think the formula ever came together completely.
So I'm probably going to give the gentlest, most forgiving review. I will admit that. So I actually was pretty much a fan of this movie, but I feel like it fell apart in the third act.
I mean, it was watchable. Okay,
It was
I didn't want to
watchable.
come off saying it was bad.
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but I felt like some of the having not watched any of the Saw movies before this, I felt like some of the things that were put into motion in the third act, they put it this way, I felt like it was a good movie that didn't stick the landing. That's my thought. That's my thought. Enjoyed it. Then in the ending was kind of like, so it didn't quite stick the landing.
I feel like the Saw series in general is a movie that, let's go back to the first one. It succeeded on surprises. You had the surprise twist at the end, which had people talking. You had a surprise in terms of the whole torture aspect being fresh at the time.
Right.
And then Saw series continues. Plus, you had Saw knockoffs trying to follow in its success.
Right.
I feel like the surprises are kind of spent at this point. I feel like this movie doesn't realize that that's what always was the ace in the hand for Saw was the surprises, and that's about it at this point. Yeah. It's already been played.
Yeah, and we were talking about the way it ended. It seemed like they were trying to set up a new mythology, but from what Chuck was saying, it didn't do too well in the theater, so it's probably not.
No, they definitely cut it short. It felt like they were leaving it hanging open for more.
Well, that's what the like the last of the Saw movies was actually a prequel for most of them. It was the same thing. It's like, no, I mean, you had Jigsaw's Apprentices, and this one's a complete copycat. But yeah, I mean, well, it's like a lot of horror movies. They always try to set up in case they can get a sequel. But honestly, they could have done a horror movie like this, targeting corrupt cops, and not giving it the Saw bent. If you will.
Probably didn't need a Saw, yeah.
I mean, they saw a potential for a moneymaker, and I think it just fell flat.
And not only a moneymaker, I think put it this way, here's a really wild out there interpretation. Marvel's concept of a shared world universe has changed the way everyone's thinking about doing movies. DC tried to copy it and failed terribly. There was the aborted, the Mummy movie that had Tom Cruise in it was supposed to set up a shared world universe,
which was a bad idea
with all the classic monsters. Believe it or not, at one time they were going to try to unify the Underworld series with I, Frankenstein.
Yep.
They were going to have Kate Beckinsale and Aaron Eckhart in the same. So the fact that they were trying to put it in the Saw universe so that we could reference, Jigsaw copycat, Jigsaw. And there's a mugshot of is his name Tobin something that actor? Tobin Bell. So it's an interesting how a Marvel movie, a superhero movie, is kind of flowing into other movies because the whole shared world thing is something that's kind of cool right now, and I can see the attempt here, but I don't, like I said, I don't see we're going to get it.
I feel I'll pass it to Tom after this, but I feel like there's one of two possible origins for this movie. Either someone said, hey, we haven't done anything with Saw in a while. Can we go something in a new direction, go a little bit more highbrow? Can we make it, hey, Seven was pretty good. Can we go something more like a police thriller, but still be Saw, and they leapt too far? Or they had the idea for an interesting cop thriller and didn't think they had enough, even with the star power or whatever, and so they said, let's throw in Saw. And those two elements never quite came together.
Yeah.
I feel like, actually, if they had stayed with just the thriller aspect, it wouldn't have probably drawn as much attention, but I feel like it would have succeeded better as a film.
Yeah, it didn't have to be Saw.
It didn't have to be Saw.
Now that you think about it, you could have kept everything there, but the Saw element, I think, was probably distraction.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention there's so much more they could have done, such as some backstory into all the cops and their crimes that would land them here. But I think they were just going through the numbers, to be honest, and there was like a lot of loose ends, like cop figures. Like first of all, there was that Drury was his name, that one other black cop. Sorry to use that term, who just kind of disappeared from the movie, and then, nothing happened to him. He was pretty crooked too. So it's and not to mention one thing I found hilarious because Chuck, you pointed this out earlier. We're watching this on Amazon Prime, and it's amazing what they'll put in the horror section, which does not fit. We saw Knives Out in the horror section, which is a mystery comedy, very great movie, by the way, but it's not a horror movie. And maybe that's the problem with Hollywood. They don't know what is horror anymore.
Well, it's not Hollywood that made Knives Out horror. It's Prime. Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we just used Hollywood, a very general term. Those who are making
Hollywood
movies.
as an Amazon Prime?
It's a general, it's like how you say Wall Street. Not everything is happening on Wall Street. Hollywood is just everyone who's making movies.
Yes, for the people who made Knives Out.
They're not the only one. Oh, no. They're not.
All right, moving on. So,
here we go.
This was fun.
Spiral, very watchable.
Watchable
On Prime. So, yeah, there you go. Watchable.
And we'd like to wish everyone a happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Check the candy. Give Dad the Snickers bar. You eat the apple.
See you later.